Good evening and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for your kind words. And to my super chat, thank you so much. You give me every incentive to rock these live streams. And I haven't had a live stream in a while, just because the uploads have been doing so well. And you know, I gotta say I miss the live stream, so I'm gonna start doing more of them. I wanted to wait for a epic monumental day like today. Ladies and gentlemen, always remember something about today. Always remember something about the Mueller probe, and this is probably one of the most important things to remember today. Mueller he did not want to he didn't want to testify. He did not want to testify. Mueller did not want to testify. Okay, this was the work of Jerry Nadler. This was the work of Democrats and Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. This was the work of Democrats who said, we're going to get some kind of public relations advantage from this. And they thought that they could manipulate the media or get a soundbite. The opposite, it was an unmitigated catastrophe. It was a public relations disaster in every single respect. I mean, it was horrendous. It was probably the worst thing that could happen to the Democratic Party. And this gives fuel to John Durham. Because John Durham is investigating is the statute that they try to utilize against Trump. The statute they tried to utilize against Trump is the following. It's a statute that involves people who conspire to defraud the United States government. And I wrote about that in the Federalist. Okay, if you look at my author page in the Federalist, I explain that James Comey and McCabe and others should be charged under this statute. The statute is the 371 statute, the 18 Code 371 statute that they spoke about today, at the Mueller probe. Now, the interesting thing here, Batwing 949, thank you. Luke St. Martin! She's running it. Thank you, Luke St. Martin, very much. Good to see you. Thank you so very much. Luke St. Martin, thank you for being an amazing moderator along with Eric H526. Thank you. Hidden for time. Even better days are ahead. Exactly. Luke St. Martin, hidden for time. Thank you. You know what? Batwing 949, Luke St. Martin, hidden for time. Thank you so very much. Eric H526. Hello, HA. Hello, everyone. Love you all. Keep up the awesome work as always, HA. Thank you. Eric H526, hidden for time. Luke St. Martin. Let me tell you something. Batwing 949, let me tell you something. This didn't have to happen today. In fact, Mueller made it very clear. He basically told him, he's like, don't call me, I'll call you. He did not want to testify. He did not want to testify. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there. Job for 9. I love the live shows. Thank you. Thank you, Job for 9. He did not want to be there. The only reason, Jay Carmona, it's not in my purview. The Steele dossier was not in his purview. His friendship with James Comey was not really in his purview, kind of, sort of. The meeting that he had with Trump was not in his purview, although really it was. And that makes him a fact witness. Because he possibly, and almost certainly, discussed why James Comey was let go. Then they talk about exoneration of the president. Prosecutors don't exonerate. They either indict or they don't indict based on evidence. Okay? The whole point, the reason you have a trial is to see if there's an innocent person that is either caught up in some situation or set up or framed like Trump was, and or whatever. If there happens to be, if you've accused somebody who is not guilty of a crime, if you've accused somebody who is not, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. That's why you can't just accuse somebody of stealing your briefcase. You can't just say, hey, you over there, you stole my briefcase. Oh, really? Well, I didn't find my briefcase, but you're still not exonerated. I still think you did. It doesn't matter what, like, the opinion of prosecutors are irrelevant. It's whether they prosecute or not based on the evidence. The evidence with Clinton is that she actually committed numerous crimes. She transferred top secret and special access program intelligence outside of the U.S. government onto servers in her basement and elsewhere. That is a crime. In terms of obstruction of justice, the way they're judging Trump, Sam Jage for $50. You could have written the report yourself. Exactly. Sam Jage, thank you. The report, by the way, we know, and Sam Jage brings a great point. Thank you, Sam. That Mueller had nothing to do with writing that report. Nothing. He didn't even know what was in it. They were asking him questions. He didn't know Fusion GPS and the Steele dossier. And it doesn't mention Fusion GPS, by the way. It doesn't mention Fusion GPS. It doesn't mention Glenn Simpson. And I made reference to that in numerous segments. If you look at segments that I've done, I talk about the fact that it doesn't mention, or it only mentions Peter Strzok once. A lot of really bizarre things. Mueller Report never mentions, so I wrote this 3 months ago. Mueller Report never mentions Fusion GPS, Alexander Downer, or Glenn Simpson. Okay, here's the actual. I did this 3 months ago. This segment right here, and I caught on to this 3 months ago. Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson are two of the biggest. One is the company, and the other is the head of the company. The biggest issue here, the biggest issue is that Clinton purchased a Steele dossier. Clinton purchased a dossier, actually purchased a dossier that was utilized by the United States government against an American citizen. Okay? That's a big problem. That's a huge problem. He didn't know. He had no idea. And it was really sad. I mean, he didn't know page numbers. I mean, it was just, and the media turned on him too. Like people on the left, the media, the same media that were championing Robert Mueller turned on him. And the Democrats did this to themselves. He didn't care that Joseph Mifsud made numerous false statements, lied to the FBI, and backtrack information. He didn't care. In fact, he never interviewed Joseph Mifsud. He never interviewed Natalia Veselnitskaya. He didn't know. So listen to this. He never interviewed Joseph Mifsud. He never interviewed Natalia Veselnitskaya. He didn't know who Fusion GPS was. He didn't know who Glenn Simpson was. He first tried to say that he wasn't friends with Comey. Then he said he was friends with Comey. He then said, oh, yeah, I spoke to Trump. I spoke to President Trump, but it might not. I might have spoken to him about Comey's firing. And if I did, I would have been a fact witness. There's never been a Department of Justice precedent where somebody had to be exonerated by the United States government. Okay? Tucker Carlson said this today, and it's true. Only God exonerates. Prosecutors don't. The government does not exonerate. Trump doesn't need anyone's exoneration. Trust me. He certainly doesn't need Mueller's exoneration. Mueller doesn't even know what was going on. He was purely a figurehead. He was purely public relations. That's it. You had a whole bunch of people who were rabid anti-Trump had complete contempt for Trump. It's so overt. It is so overt. People know what's going on. And if it wasn't, look, before today, there was still some allure. There was still some kind of, mythical type of mystery or aura. Even if you watch this channel, you read my writing, you and I, we didn't see it at all. We didn't believe it at all. But there were still some people out there that said, oh, Mueller time. Now it's done. It's completely and utterly obliterated, done. This was an unmitigated public relations catastrophe for them. You can chalk up Mueller. Really, I mean, you can. You can add Mueller to the list of people who went after Trump and then had some kind of outcome that they didn't want. And what I still can't get, UFO Talk. HA, do you think the squad is anti-Semitic? I think they are. Why is anti-Semitism so prevalent on the left? I think definitely two of them are. I think I've written in the Huffington. I'm sorry, not the Huffington Post. I've written in the Jerusalem Post and I've written in the Federalist that I do believe definitely one of them are based on her statements where she actually had to apologize, and the Democratic Party actually tried to condemn all bad things, but didn't mention her name because Democrats are completely gutless. And they're fine. And the reason it's allowed is who knows why. We can go on for a long time. But UFO Talk, I don't really know exactly why it's allowed and why it's prevalent. I mean, I can kind of get into it, but I can't really at this moment. I do explain in a Federalist article, one of my first Federalist articles, and in the Jerusalem Post. So thank you, Eric H526. So that's that. I pretty much explained it there. UFO Talk, thank you. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable what took place today. Kurt Leonard. Thank you, UFO Talk. Thank you, Hidden for Time. Thank you, Luke St. Martin. Thank you, everyone. Eric H526, thank you. Kurt Leonard, 2 questions Mueller failed to ask. Who am I? Pretty much. The guy didn't want to be there. I can't stress that enough. It's so important in all of this. It's one of the kind of, on one hand, I don't feel bad for Mueller because he didn't care how many people. He didn't care how many people were hurt by the probe, and people are still being hurt by the probe right now. He didn't care how many lives were affected, how many people had their lives completely altered. And at the same time, you hate to see somebody who... Elizabeth Luker, hello. At the same time, you hate to see somebody experience everything that Mueller experienced today, and it was all because of the Democratic Party. He did not want to testify. There was never any Russia collusion. The thing is absurd. Even if there was, it would not be a national security issue. Democrats think that their political ambitions are national security issues. Definitely would not be a national security issue. Definitely would not be a national security issue. It's not a national security issue when you cheat a candidate and allegedly another country informs the world that you've cheated your own candidate. Swanee Scotty! Hey, HA. I watched the Mueller testimony last night in Australia time. I started feeling sorry for him. Go Trumpy. Yes, me too. Swanee Scotty. Me too. I agree with you. I agree with you. I felt bad for Mueller, but at the same time, you reap what you sow. You have a situation where it's a situation where you have a guy who was heading a probe that was a sinister example of state power being misused. This was the country utilizing a political party who got the country to utilize the full weight and pressure and influence and prestige of the U.S. government. And ladies and gentlemen, how did we as a country allow CrowdStrike and Clinton and a dossier and a ridiculous probe to develop U.S. foreign policy? It makes no sense. Marsha Puffenbarger, thank you. Thank you, Marsha, very much. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you. How did we allow U.S. foreign policy to be dictated by the rantings and ravings of corrupt intelligence officials? We think that Russia interfered in the election. Really? How did they interfere? They let everybody know that you were cheating Bernie Sanders. Oh, okay. This is not going to work out well for the Democrats. Marsha, thank you again. Sam Jage, I'm surprised Schiff and Nadler are under investigation, or are they? I think that Durham is focusing on McCabe. I think the IG report's not going to be good for McCabe. I think Andrew McCabe, Sam, is up the creek without a paddle. I think they're going to go after McCabe. I think that McCabe's not going to do well. I think that because the IG report is going to double down on the initial statement that he committed crimes, lied under oath numerous times. I think ultimately James Comey's going to. I think that if you look at what they were investigating Trump for doing, they're the ones who engaged in that activity. So they're the ones who conspired to defraud the United States government. And this shows today that Mueller had really no role. He did not have a day-to-day role in things. He was not briefed day to day. He was not told what was going on. He wasn't briefed. He wasn't told what was going on. I don't even know if he read the entire report. I mean, I don't think he read the entire report. And that's not hyperbole. I just don't think he actually read the whole report. UFO Talk. Why do yuppie liberals get to be prejudiced and paranoid? UFO Talk. You know what it is? Because they have the greatest say in the media, unfortunately. So they get to ignore certain things and then focus on others. And they get to just basically allow hypocrisy and duplicity to run rampant. So, and yeah, I mean, Louie Gohmert completely Gohmerized Mueller. He was like, so according to this article, you leave your wife when Comey calls. Oh, wait, what? You leave your wife, you're having dinner with your wife or maybe other things, and you leave her when James Comey calls. Let me repeat myself. And he does. I mean, the thing is, it's Stephen Harris. He doesn't stop. Gohmert goes for the jugular. His name should be Jugular Gohmert. He's like, you mean to tell me that you're not friends with Comey? Is that right? State propaganda. How and why do we know Veselnitskaya before and after? What is the official explanation? Mike Kensington, thank you. There is a Fox article on this. John Solomon has also discussed this and reported this. Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, Veselnitskaya worked for Glenn Simpson on one project. It was mysterious, so we have no clue exactly what took place, but it was almost certainly a setup. That's the issue. George Rivera Jr. All I saw was the GOP meets idiocracy. Exactly. George Rivera Jr. Exactly. And then you saw today George Rivera Jr., the Gohmerization, because he kept on harping on it. You're having dinner with your wife, and someone calls, and it's Comey. And you just leave the dinner. She's in mid-chew, eating her Caesar salad, and you leave. Huh? All 'cause Comey. But you're not friends with him. Well, which one is it? And then he's like, I'm friends. Jeez, leave me alone. I'm friends with the guy. I'm friends with him. And then he's like, so you could be a fact witness, huh? And then Comey's like, I guess you could be right about that. He admits, George Rivera Jr., thank you. State propaganda, thank you. He admits, Marcia, thank you. He admits to simply to actually being somebody who should not have, absolutely should not have been special counsel. The conflicts of interest. And where's the MAGA hat, by the way? Can we get one MAGA hat? Dogimon 83. Do you honestly think Hillary think she'll win? I think that Hillary Clinton is going to run again. I do believe that in her mind she can win. I do believe that Democrats, this is all a farce, and Hillary Clinton will either before the third debate or after the third debate in October. So you have a debate at the end of this month, July, and then a last debate in September, and it's either October or November. She will save the day. Yay! And everyone be on this live. We got 533 in the middle of the night. Be on the live stream when Madam Secretary, so Dogimon 83. I do believe that Clinton is going to run. And obviously, when she runs, she wins the Democratic nomination because they have nobody else. So, the Mueller report was not written by Mueller. The Mueller probe was not conducted by Mueller. He basically probably was briefed. He probably wasn't briefed on everything that took place. I would venture to say he does not know everything that took place. I would venture to say that he probably is the last to know. Inga Hicks, thank you. Thank you to everybody on the East Coast. Thank you. And to people around the world, thank you for watching. I would, Original Professor Chaos, hello. Thank you as always. I would venture to say, exactly, the Original Professor Chaos, yes, thank you. I would venture to say that Mueller doesn't know what's in the report. I'd venture to say that he was not briefed on a lot of things that took place. I think that if you asked him what the daily, they really should have asked Mueller, do you know the day-to-day activity of every one of your attorneys? Do you know the day-to-day activity of every one of your attorneys? If they asked him, do you know the day-to-day activity of every one of your attorneys? He would not be able to answer that because he doesn't know. He doesn't even know what's in the report. He doesn't even know who Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson are. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't know. He really has no clue what's going on. And I say this with all due respect because I understand it was tough to see Mueller that way, but at the end of the day, he didn't care the harm that he did to fellow Americans. He was tasked with an immoral goal, an immoral job. He was trying to find a crime that doesn't happen. You usually investigate the existence of a crime. You don't find a crime, you investigate the existence of a crime. That's why a legal system, that's why you have a justice system. You don't just say, well, I think somebody did something and let's find all the evidence that could possibly lead to somebody doing something. QB! Oh, yes. Who else spilled their cookies when Mueller claimed ignorance of Glenn Simpson and fusion? He truly appeared feeble-minded and quite lost. Yes, he did. He absolutely did. And like I said, I mean, the number of people whose lives were altered. Now, like I give it up to George Papadopoulos and his wife. I mean, she was stuck by him. And they're a young couple. I mean, we didn't know he could have, they got him for lying to the FBI, but I mean, they were capable of trying to fabricate any type of evidence. They did with the Steele dossier. So people were like, it seemed that they were risking decades in prison. And nobody really knew. I knew from early on, the second actually the special counsel started, and the second that they were talking about the Steele dossier, I said it was complete and utter nonsense. But the way that the media pounced upon it, it was a very dangerous and sad time in American history that just, thank God, passed. Waterworks Plumbing, Mueller is now liability. He may end up, well, I don't think so. But he actually helped Trump immeasurably inadvertently. All of these people helped Trump immeasurably. You can add him to like the list of people who went after Trump, and he didn't even know basic things. It was a complete disaster. He didn't know that collusion, and so the Mueller report pointed out that when people conspire against the government and collude against the government, they're basically synonymous things. He didn't understand that. Then on page 80 of the report, 180, collusion is largely synonymous. And then he goes, basically, he didn't understand that what he had actually wrote, what he allegedly wrote. And then he ends it with, well, we'll just leave it with the report. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Then the whole thing, like, he didn't do himself any favors because, like, well, we don't exonerate Trump. It's like, well, not only do you not have the right to exonerate Trump, but you didn't exonerate yourself, because now what you've done, Mueller, he's fine. He's not going to be in the public view. He's not made for television. He's not a media personality. He did not want to testify. But what people are going to remember about Mueller and this probe was his horrendous performance today in Congress. The guy didn't know anything. And Democrats were saying, oh my God, Trump colluded. Trump didn't collude. All the evidence is linked to Clinton. And I write this in the Federalist. And Rush Limbaugh shared my article 2 days in a row. The Steele dossier, Alexander Downer, CrowdStrike, everyone is linked. Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, everyone's linked to Clinton. And, it was just, and they did this to themselves. They actually issued a congressional subpoena to get him to testify. I mean, could you imagine They actually forced him to do something. He actually literally stated, "I will not be testifying again. Bye. Talk to you later. Don't call me. I'll call you. Okay, have a nice day." Because he had spoken, he had a press conference. First of all, they did that press conference stunt. It didn't work out. It begs the question, was Clinton actually guiding the Mueller probe via Weissman? That's could be a possibility. Was possible senile Mueller used as a diversion? Yes. QB? Yes. Yes, possibly, and yes. Almost certainly. Almost certainly he was used as a diversion. Almost certainly. And, almost certainly. It's interesting because they did this to themselves. They did this to themselves. And when you have the National Review is kind of an establishment, more of an establishment, conservative publication. Okay, generally, known as an establishment. They're basically saying that Mueller had Mueller's bad day, a shaky performance. They're being generous. The reality is it was an unmitigated catastrophe, an unmitigated disaster and catastrophe for Democrats, because this puts everything to bed. This puts everything to bed. Jason B, thank you. Christlight, hello. Chet, hello. It's unbelievable. And what can I say other than, if you watch this channel, we have been speaking about this now you also have to look who has been pumping this. All the pundits, left and right, that have been pumping this. Today was vindication for me, for you, but also kind of exposes exactly where they were coming from. The entire Mueller probe was a hoax, and it was a setup and a fabricated investigation because Democrats lost, and they had to save face. That's it. Democrats lost, and they had to save face. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long day. It's been a great day. Check out my segments prior to this. Very expensive hoax, exactly. Check out my segments prior to this. We get over a half an hour. I will be doing, obviously, a lot more live streams throughout the next couple of months. The next year and a half, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be absolutely fantastic. And the channel's growing. We're almost at 150,000 subs. Definitely check out HA2A. I have a website, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to come out soon. That'll debunk all the Trump derangement nonsense. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. If you're staying up to watch this, I greatly appreciate it. And I want you to have a wonderful evening. Sleep well. And to the people around the world watching, thank you so very much for always watching my channel. It means a great deal to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you soon. Watch the uploads tomorrow. Trump has won yet again. It's uncanny. It is absolutely uncanny. Thank you, everyone.